Today on the CTV News at 5, the body of a Cardston man is found on Lethbridge's west side. Plus, southern Alberta families continue to rebuild their lives a year after devastating wildfires tore through Nanton and Fort Macleod. And Canada's coolest cop will hit the drums for a Lethbridge Food Bank fundraiser.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Police are investigating after a body was discovered near a walking path in West Lethbridge, but officers say the death appears to be non-violent and they don't consider it suspicious at this time. The body of a 61-year-old Cardston man was found around 9:30 this morning near University Drive west of Safeway. Police say city workers and a local resident discovered the body around the same time. It was lying between a row of trees and the fence backing onto some neighboring properties. A medical examiner was called to the scene, but police say the cause of death has yet to be determined. A portion of the sidewalk was closed for several hours while police examined the scene and carried out their investigation.
A native adult male was found deceased, and it appears non-violent at this time. Non-suspicious in nature, but we're again just getting into that investigation, finding out more information, speaking with people that were in the area, and getting a better look at the death investigation scene before we can make those conclusions further. For the most part, we'll have some evaluation made from our scene observations and that of the decedent here, and then we'll rely upon the medical examiner's office to give us the conclusive death information.
Now, the deceased name has not been released. An autopsy has been scheduled for tomorrow at the medical examiner's office in Calgary. Health officials say the flu and norovirus continue to spread. Sunrise Village is among the many facilities in southern Alberta where norovirus has reared its ugly head. A spokesperson says 10 people have been treated for the illness, although they've had no new cases since Monday. The facility has discontinued all public activities, sanitized rooms, and taken other steps to prevent the spread. Health officials say this is turning out to be a typical year for influenza and norovirus.
With both influenza virus and what we're seeing with norovirus right now circulating, we actually see that rising. So since the end of October, we're seeing increasing number of cases, and that's sort of progressively, exponentially increasing over since that time. This usually, most years, that will continue to rise throughout the holidays because of travel and family get-togethers, and that usually brings us to the peak of influenza season in the end of January. So this is no different than any other previous years.
A new strain of highly contagious norovirus has BC hospital officials on alert. The province is dealing with some of the highest rates of infection in years. One hospital outside Vancouver has quarantined 18 people with the virus. Another is under a containment protocol after the illness showed up in a ward. This is part of a global trend. The virus, which carries flu-like symptoms, has infected millions of people in Britain and Japan, along with other parts of the world. Closer to home, outbreaks have also been declared at 3 southwestern Saskatchewan care centres as well because of the sickness. Now, police have laid charges in a southern Alberta cocaine trafficking ring. 3 Medicine Hat residents face charges in an alleged operation involved moving cocaine from Calgary to Medicine Hat. The police stopped a vehicle on Highway 1 yesterday and uncovered just under 200 grams of cocaine worth about $40,000. 42-year-old Jolie May Opereski, 28-year-old Johanna Degenhart, and 28-year-old Adam Massanini have both been charged with custody. They are in custody, pending a bail hearing. And 2 sisters are facing several charges after a rather entertaining hockey game in Pincher Creek on New Year's Eve. First, the pair left a New Year's Eve party, got into a car crash. Police caught up with the driver, but then, as police were dealing with that, they received reports of a woman who'd hopped onto the ice during a man's rec hockey game, and she started to strip. Tiffany Horry, 27 years old, has been charged with impaired operation of a motor vehicle, leaving the scene of an accident, as well as refusal to provide a breath sample and other provincial driving fines. Brittany Horry, 21 years old, has been charged with indecent acts, obstruction of police officer, and causing a disturbance. They will appear in court later this month. Dory Rossiter, weather's still looking good for this weekend. What about that chance of showers on Sunday? Is that still around the same?
Yeah, Jackie, it still is, just because the temperature right now, it looks like between 0 and +3 for Sunday, so we do have a band of precipitation moving across, and because of the warmer temperatures, that precipitation will fall in the form of showers rather than flurries, but still there's only a 30% chance of that happening. It's next Thursday when temperatures really drop into the minus values that precip could be flurries. I'll tell you more about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. Well, today marks 1 year since a pair of devastating wildfires fueled by high winds swept across grasslands near Nanton and Fort Macleod. Before it was done, the flames had consumed 4 homes and a large section of land. A year later, the rebuilding process is continuing. Jan.04 reports.
We need steps here yet.
Christina Brown points to an area of her home on her Nanton ranch, but 1 year ago, this is what stood on the same ground. Last January 4th, a devastating grass fire caused by hurricane-like winds knocked power lines over and set a spark in motion. A spark that swept over a large section of land, including Christina Brown's 9 acres. Christina says she was home alone that day.
And about 1:30, the power went out. So I went to investigate. I kind of looked up, and it was just huge, huge black. I thought it were clouds. The wind was just dreadful, just dreadful. You cannot stand still and not be kind of swept away by it.
Fire was quickly consuming land and properties to the west. Smoke was blowing across Christina's ranch, and her road access was cut off. Feeling panicked, Christina says she opened the gate for the horses, put the dogs in the vehicle, and drove east.
I turned around, and our house was on fire. Just huge, big fire, and shop, I guess, started first. I just didn't think that it would jump the road.
Within hours, only ashes were left of the Browns' custom-built home and surrounding structures. The only items Christina says she saved were the clothes on her back and her purse.
After the fire, no one's ahead. It's a pretty big loss.
This tree remains scarred by the flames that ripped through the area a year ago. And today, it's a reminder of the financial and emotional scars felt by the families whose homes were destroyed. A year later, the Browns, like others in the area, continue to rebuild their homes and their lives. Jan.04, CTV News, Nanton.
Now, damage between the 2 fires in Nanton and Fort Macleod was over $2 million. The Browns say the fire taught them to cherish the little things in life. Meanwhile, fire officials in the MD of Willow Creek say they continue to learn from those large grass fires 1 year ago. More than 200 people filed property damage claims during the fires near the Claresholm Nanton region and Fort Macleod. Officials in the MD say while the Emergency Operations Center worked well, they have made improvements in some areas, including mutual aid response communication and radio dispatching. They say firefighters have more training in these kinds of events and have a closer working relationship with other jurisdictions.
I think the mutual aid partners that we have now, we have better communication with them. We've been learning after every fire, and that's why we do our debriefs and we do things like this so that we can learn and be better a year later. And yes, I do believe that we could be better response and better attacks, those kind of things, and have better communication between our mutual aid partners with the other municipalities that we border and that we fight fire with.
Fire officials say they've also learned from the grass fires on the Blood Reserve and in West Lethbridge, where the MD of Willow Creek helped to provide mutual aid. Prime Minister Stephen Harper has agreed to meet with a delegation of First Nations leaders next Friday. The announcement comes on day 25 of a hunger strike by Chief Teresa Spence.
We'll continue to do a hunger strike until the actual meeting happens.
The chief of Attawapiskat First Nation has been living on Victoria Island near Ottawa, eating mostly fish broth and demanding a meeting with the Prime Minister. Harper's meeting is expected to take place next Friday and will focus on treaty relationships, Aboriginal rights, and economic development. Well, at least one of Lethbridge's elected officials is asking for a review in how salary increases are issued. Alderman Bridget Mearns says there should be a better system. The mayor and council came under scrutiny late last year after voting to increase their own wages in order to bring them in line with municipalities of a similar size. Members of the Open and Effective Government Committee spent some time this morning discussing the policy that's used to set pay levels for mayor and council.
I think what we heard today through the debate is that there's always going to be this concern. It's inherent in the position, but we have to make sure that it's communicated in a way that's understood. But we also have to make sure that the process is as fair and accurate and open and transparent and efficient as it can possibly be. And it's up to this council to make sure that we do that.
The committee will continue discussion during its next meeting. That takes place February the 1st. And there is some good employment numbers from Statistics Canada this morning. The Canadian economy created more jobs than economists expected in December. 40,000 new jobs were created last month in Canada. That's 35,000 more than economists had expected. While the local unemployment rate slipped by 0.1 of a percentage point, the Lethbridge Medicine Hat region sits at 4.1%. Unemployment is 5th in the province. December's gains were entirely from new full-time work. And Alberta's coolest cop will be among those performing at a benefit for the food banks in Lethbridge tomorrow. Pincher Creek RCMP Constable Doug Sokolowski gained celebrity status last summer after his impromptu performance at a campsite went viral on the internet. And now he'll be bringing his act to the Moon Dancer benefit concert at McKillop United Church. Organizers say the concert will help replenish shelves at the food bank. Constable Sokolowski will join Mayor Rayko Dodick, Police Chief Tom McKenzie, and other celebrity guests who will be performing or auctioning off services at the event.
I found out last week because of the article about Doug Sokolowski, the RCMP officer who had that YouTube video with almost 1 million hits, that his superiors think it's a good idea for him to do those things. So I called him, and yesterday morning we got confirmation that he can join us, and he will be on the drum kit for Twist and Shout and taking care of business.
And the concert gets underway 2 p.m. tomorrow at McKillop United Church. Admission is $10 by cash donation or 10 pounds of non-perishable food donations for the local food banks. The competition is expected to be fierce in this year's Sirens for Life blood drive. Everyday emergency services teams see the need for blood and recognize the importance of ensuring there's a constant supply of blood. The Lethbridge Regional Police, RCMP, and firefighters are going head-to-head to see which organization can bring in the most blood donations by the end of the month. And the hope is that you will roll up your sleeve and give too.
It's a bit of a friendly competition between us and other emergency service providers in the area, all for a good cause. I think those of us that work in emergency services maybe have a little bit different perspective on the need for blood products in our community. I think it's just something very important for us all to get out and support.
I think we've won several of them. People love firefighters.
The Lethbridge Regional Police are the reigning champions, and they are hoping for a repeat. Time now for a look at today's markets, which ended up on an up note.